Welcome to You Can Sit with Lux, our new podcast where real estate meets real life. Here we will take you behind the curtains at LUXE Properties to showcase our culture, our team, and how we elevate the real estate experience and everything in between. I'm Wesley Ulloa. I'm going to be hosting, and I have a very special guest for you today who happens to be our first agent at LUXE. So I found it super fitting that we would do our first episode with our first agent when we started LUXE Properties, so you could hear a little bit about the story, how it came about, how we got here, and what's next. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Shanut Anaut.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay.
You did.
Your last name, like,
I know.
Mind you, it's been how many years? And
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know I said your first name right. But
You did. It's perfect.
Which can I tell them? It's not your full first name.
It's not. Little known fact, it's not my first name. My name is actually Mirna, Shanut Anaut, but no one's ever called me Mirna, only my mom when she was mad at me at some point. But other than that, Shanut is it.
You've had so many names though, like over the years, me too. I
nicknames.
feel like that's a thing that like happens at LUXE. We get like nicknames, we get different things. But with that being said, what is it like seeing after all these years how we came up with this crazy idea, and now here we are hosting our first podcast?
Crazy. It's amazing, honestly, because there's just been so much growth. When you found me, when you scouted me, I was like 22, 23 years old. You know, I had my license. I had only worked like as an assistant before that, you know, to two brokers, but I was just like doe-eyed wanting to get going. And Wes, you literally were like, we're gonna meet.
The best part about that story, and I think she's leaving it out, is I found her on Twitter.
Yeah. She slid in the DM. I don't even know if there was DMs at that point, but she slid somewhere on Twitter.
I think I found your phone number. And then I texted you and I said, let's have lunch. I was like, you were so great at like social media. You had such a personality. Even on Twitter back then and then Instagram, you could see it flowing through. And I'm like, that's what we need at LUXE Properties. That kind of personality, young, energetic, somebody who's ready to just grow and take on real estate as it is. So it was really funny seeing you on Twitter and then taking you to lunch. I didn't even know you, but here we are.
I remember that it's perfectly. After the Twitter situation happened, I remember telling my mom, like, Mom, mira, she's telling me to go talk business. I'm 22, like I had no idea. And you were like, let's go to Hillstone. I think that was probably my first time at Hillstone. And you walked through the door. It was a chilly day. I think it was probably February. And your hair was flowing in the wind. Opens the door. Everybody knows the door at Hillstone is heavy. So like when you do that, the wind hits you. And I was like, whoa, what are we going to talk about? And so at that point, you kind of laid out the vision.
Yes.
And I mean, as somebody that, I grew up with the MySpace, with the AIM, with all of that. And I remember you saying that you really wanted to lean into like technology at the time and do things different. I had been interviewing with a couple of offices or real estate brokerages at the time, and nothing was clicking. And for me, what clicked, I was like, sushi, Hillstone, blonde, Twitter, let's go. Which is your vision, obviously.
Well, which is funny, right? Like we're talking about that, and while that was like, it was fun, there was a vision behind it.
There was absolutely a vision.
And the vision was always just to make real estate better. You know, there was such a gap back then. I remember I was younger, and I've been doing this for 20 years now, and I just remember having to figure out everything on my own and having to just learn contracts. And I don't want to say fully on my own, but I didn't really feel like I got the right training I needed. I had to do it like the hard way. And I'm like, there has to be a better way to do this. And leaning into technology, leaning into the things that were growing, social media, just any kind of media, video, right? And making sure to bridge that gap. And I'm like, there has to be a better way to do this. And there has to be a better way to do this, not only for the agents, but for the consumers.
Right.
So it was really cool to find people like you, put everybody in a room and figure out what we were gonna do next.
Right, and I actually, one last thing on that topic, I remember specifically you saying, not only do we want to create a better experience in real estate, right, for both agents and realtor clients, which, by the way, I didn't even really know what that meant at that time. I was like, sounds good. But I remember you telling me there's going to be space to make mistakes here.
Yeah.
And that was something that, as a brand new agent, that I had no idea what I was doing. Obviously, you're not saying, I'm not saying like, oh, I can't wait to make mistakes. But it's intimidating. And I am happy to say, you know, making that circle or that full circle moment is that we still have that culture at Luxe, which is, I mean, we don't want to make mistakes, but if there is a mistake, we're human, things happen, there's room to find solutions, get, you know, the support from whoever, whatever team member is going to help. And we still very much stand by that.
Yeah, make it right and make it better. And we're human, right? And that's with any company. And I think that that's something that we always wanted to channel from when we started Luxe to now, is being authentic, right? Making sure that we're showing up for our agents, living by our values, making sure we're showing up for our clients and doing the right thing. And, you know, with doing the right thing, we're not going to get it right 100% of the time, but when we fall short, how can we make it better? How can we grow from this? And how can we learn? And I think adopting that has allowed us to grow to what we are in today.
Right.
Not being scared to make mistakes or not trying to be perfect. I think there's so many real estate companies out there. We'll go back to like the beginning a little bit more, but I feel like there's so many realtors or real estate companies that think that we have to be perfect 100% of the time. And that's not real, right? And
not at all.
Making sure that we're not going to sell every listing or price every listing perfect or do every single thing perfect. And we're not supposed to, but we want to get it right as much as we can. And when we're not hitting the mark, what can we do to get better, and who can we call in for some support or reinforcement? So
that's it right there.
Yeah, but going back to the beginning, what was it like for you as an agent in the early days at Luxe?
Well, I mean, for me at that time, like I said a little while ago, I was obviously very excited. And I remember, I mean, at that time, I don't even know that we had a physical office yet that was dedicated only for Luxe.
No, we did
when
not.
we met. You were in the process of doing all of that. And it's funny because I look back and I'm like, you painted the vision, and I was like, let's go. It sounds great. But for me, it was really exciting. I not only liked the fact that I was a part of something that was gonna be built. I was a part of something at the time as well. I was a Vixen instructor for like 8 years, still, so it's part of my heart forever. And that was also kind of developing at the same time. So it was really exciting to be able to be a part of something new on both ends, like the business development and professional, and then also like creatively. And actually, a lot of the things that circled between both of those things, I learned at Luxe at the time, I would apply, at Vixen and vice versa. And it was just a really exciting time. I was seeing you hustle as an agent because, you were transitioning into, more of the leadership role as a broker and things like that. So I was just like a sponge. I remember listening to you talk on the phone with clients and be like, okay, she said this. And I just throw it in there, and the next conversation be like, that seems to work. So it was just really paying a lot of attention. I was coachable. I still want to be coachable to this day. And I was just really trying to absorb everything and apply everything that you not only did by example, but also would mentor me on.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring up Vixen. I feel like that time period, like in the early 2010s, it was a different era, right? It was, social media was emerging.
Right.
The culture just in Miami was different, which the culture's great still, but it just has...
It's different, it's evolved.
It has evolved over the years, but back then it was cool that we were able to be a little bit more forward, or a little bit, we were able to really emerge through Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a new breed era. We've evolved throughout the years too, but I think, when we founded the company, it was all right, we want to make a new breed of realtors. That was, how do we do that? And we created this culture where we're going to do some crazy things, and we're going to put it on Instagram. And we're going to emerge out in Instagram and make sure that, we're getting some eyes on us. And I think that really allowed us to create a culture of just being forward thinking, thinking outside the box, and making sure that, you know, our agents, when they come in here, they're able to adapt to that culture and really be their best selves, because a new breed of realtors really represented that individual that didn't want to be like everybody else, wanted to make sure we were doing the right thing, didn't want to be that realtor salesperson, right? Or like that used car salesperson, wanted to do the right thing, wanted to grow, that like mindset of coachable and like really channeling that. And I feel like that new breed era was fun. We were a little crazy sometimes.
So fun.
What are some of the craziest things you remember?
Well, this is kind of like, in my head, when I think about that time, I think like young, wild, and free. I'm like, for some reason, that's the thing that always comes to my mind. But we would have we still have fun, but we would have so much fun in the office. I mean, we had like, what was the name of the album? The Drake and Future album.
Oh my God.
We always had that bumping in the office. Like a closing would be taking place, and you know, it matched. It matched at the time. Obviously, we've polished up a little bit. Yeah. But I remember, you know, just, you know, even spending so much time with the agents, we would do trainings at your house.
Oh my God,
That's like, there's receipts.
I'm scared that everybody's gonna start scrolling through Instagram and seeing all these old pictures. Like, we made shirts, so we had shirts. That's some of the crazy things that we had, and we put like crazy things on shirts. A new breed.
We had like I Heart Lux, kind of like I Heart New York, and something that's really, I want to stress this, and I know that you just did, but real estate companies were not on Instagram.
Yes.
Big companies were barely on Instagram. During this time, it was more like you're sharing pictures of your life for fun with like crazy filters on that you look back now and it's like the ugliest picture of a dish with weird, you know, with a weird filter on it. But we were like, okay, here's a billboard. Let's do something with that. And then how can we kind of catch some eyes? And the fun thing about that is that we weren't trying so hard either.
No.
It was just us authentically being who we were. We were in our 20s. You were 20, what, 6, 7?
27.
Yeah. I mean, pause. 27 years old. Like, that is, I think of myself at 27 years old. I'm 36 now, and I'm like, I'm a baby, you know? So that's like a really big thing. And I was in my early 20s. The majority of us were there. So it really matched that era. So we did a lot of fun things.
So don't judge us when you go on there and see the old pictures or the old stuff. Understand we were in our 20s, we were figuring ourselves out. But I think with that being said, we were able to really break through, and that breakthrough allowed us to grow to what we are today, which we still channel some of that energy.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we haven't left that fully behind, but I think we've evolved over the years. And I mean, it's really cool to see, if you do go back, you know, the growth of LUXE Properties, right? For the growth of the agents, the growth of the brand, and, you know, coming full circle, starting with having to sometimes work out of my house or having to move offices around.
It added to the charm, I will tell you, because it felt like we were truly building together. Yeah. Not just me. At this point, there was already other agents, and you know, it was truly, and it still is. And I want to say the majority of those agents are still at LUXE. You know, so I feel like you know, there was a core bill, and then everything else has continued to, like a flower, just like continue to bloom and bloom out. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that everyone thought in 2013 that we were like a modeling agency for some reason or something. There was a lot of women, you know, here's a woman, you know, saying like, bringing in her people, her friends that were agents. A lot of people thought that it was just women. It wasn't.
It was never.
It was never just women.
But I always say women like to be on Instagram a lot more.
Right.
So then it's just like perception determines reality, right? So now I think we do a better job of showcasing everybody too, but it was never that way. But it's perception, and it turned into like this
funny thing,
But now, you know, looking back, we've grown. We have 10 offices. We've grown to Central Florida. We have amazing leaders like you that come and just pour into the company and the team every single day. So it's really cool to see us grow to over 700 agents.
Wild.
I hope, you know, we hit the billion mark this year. That's a really cool milestone. It's amazing to be partners over the years, we've partnered with Zillow. We're a large Zillow Flex partner down here. We've worked with great developers. We've worked with great agents. And it's awesome to see the agents develop from walking in the door like you.
Right.
Right, this fresh, young individual to just coming in full circle and like really growing into a powerhouse. So the goal is to make as many powerhouses as possible. Right. And we have a lot of them.
Yes.
I mean, we could sit here and name names, which hopefully I'm not going to name because we're going to feature them on the podcast, which we're already working on, right? So that is the goal, showcasing, the people here, what makes LUXE special, and it's exciting to see that.
Yeah, and leaders make more leaders. And
yeah.
I really think that that's what's happened at LUXE and why we continue to develop in that sense. You do an amazing job of pouring into us on a corporate level. I mean, we're not necessarily super corporate in that sense, but we are corporate now. And you pour into us in terms of leadership, but also in terms of agent life and just developing as an agent, and then also with staff. So leaders lead from the front and from the back, and that's you. So thank you so much. I'm just gonna say that right now in the middle of this, because a lot of your leadership and mentorship for me is what has developed me in the different ways, even outside of real estate. So you're still very much a mentor.
I'm glad. And leaders eat last. Well, you were saying
from the front to the back,
and leaders eat last.
I said from the front. I'm like, wait, I don't think that was it. It's from the back. Forget that I said the front. From the back. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit. I mean, we could talk about like growth and milestones, and we've done a lot, but I think the biggest growth and milestone is seeing everybody develop and seeing us grow into where we are. We have a lot more to do as a brokerage. We have a lot more to do as agents. We have a lot more to do just for the public, and I think while we've done a lot, I still feel like there's so much more to go. I still feel like we're just crossing that chasm of this where the individual, like where real estate comes something that there's like this balance that this individual could have freedom, financial wealth when somebody practices it, but also helping people reach their goals, right? A lot of times realtors are just like in that transaction, right? And then they just come in and they meet that individual and they're like, I'm just gonna sell you a house, or I'm just gonna help you buy a house. But where can we like become that consultant, right? Where can we really help that public reach their goals, invest, financial freedom, personal wealth? And I think that there's so much more to go. Not only, what we've evolved into, but helping our agents and helping the public hit those marks. So I don't wanna sit here and say like we've accomplished so much. We have. But we have a lot more to do.
We're still going.
We have a lot more to do. So the goal of this podcast too, while we're like doing that intro is, we've grown into a brand that does sell a lot of real estate. We've grown into a brand that has partnered with big teams, corporations, and we have accomplished so much, but I still feel like there's more. So hopefully with this podcast, we'll be able to share more with the public and share more as to ways that people could better their lives, whether it's in real estate or buying or selling real estate. But let's talk a little bit more about culture and community at LUXE, right? So what can we tell people that aren't in LUXE Properties about what makes us special? I could talk. I want to have you share.
Well, honestly, the first thing that always comes to mind, and it has from the beginning, is collaboration.
Yeah.
And I know that word now, it's almost like a buzzword in some ways, especially because of social media, but it's always been that way. And that is another one of the values, our values, that is truly embedded into our DNA is collaboration. Although we're 700 plus agents at this point, the company is very much built like a team. Mm-hmm. And it has been from the beginning, from the very like Zillow send out the leads days. Maybe we can go into that at another moment. This is actually really funny. But it kind of, it paved the way for the way that we are built now. And I don't think that it's very often that you see a corporation or a brokerage or whatever it is with so many people that actually feels truly like a team. So for me, that's the first thing, that we collaborate with each other. The second thing for me in terms of culture is that we care. Mm-hmm. We care about each other in terms of our team, but we also care about our clients, which is what you were saying a little bit earlier ago. That's one of the things that I think was embedded to me from the very beginning was don't think transaction to transaction. We're in a relationship business. We care about people. We're not just chasing for a commission or a check. Yes, that is the result of doing the job and of doing a great job, but that's not the only thing that we're out here for. We're out here to help people. And really, I think that that's one of the things that sometimes, you know, we can forget, or people can forget, or in business, it's like you really start looking at the dollar signs, but there's more to that. So I think that that's probably the second thing that really stands out to me at Luxe, and has always, is the care. And the fact that we are forward thinking and we like to have fun. So it's like a mix of all of these things in one. It's like, how can we be authentic, continue collaborating, care about our clients, be knowledgeable. That's also a really big thing in our culture and in our values.
Knows.
Yes, which that hashtag, guys, back 2013 when social media was just starting, we like coined this hashtag that we still use to this day, hashtag Luxe Knows, you know, and that's something that we really wanted to push on, and we still do.
And it's funny you said that, because yesterday I was driving and I was just like thinking about Luxe Knows, and I'm like, man, you know, we've been using that for 10 years, and I was thinking about it in the sense of, how can we even drill it in further to our agents, right? And how can we make sure that, like, that's a keyword that our agents know, which they do for the most part, but how can they know Luxe Knows, and make that like something that if somebody has an answer, I need to be able to figure it out on my own. I want to use it as an empowering thing, and continue to drill on those things and make sure that those agents know that there's always an answer. We got to figure it out. We got to show up for our people, and use it as an empowerment. Luxe Knows every single day. So it's cool to see all of that culture and that continuum over those years carry on to where we are right now.
Right, and actually even for, you know, back in the day, aside from it being a fun thing because it was a hashtag and all of that stuff, it did help us, the agents that were at Luxe at that time, and still like want to live up to that.
Yes.
You know, want that to be part of our identity, because it's the identity of our company. Our company knows, you know, so like we need to know too. And that still very much is a thing, you know, and that's the importance of also of like really aligning yourself with a company, whether it's within real estate or outside of real estate, that you align with in terms of who you want to be and what they stand for. And for me, new in real estate, I wanted to know. I wanted to be able to, you know, go to a listing presentation or a buyer's consultation, whatever it was, have a conversation and be like, I know what I'm talking about, you know, because Luxe knows, so I better know, you know, but that it really helps you step into that identity. And it's not just like a smoke and mirrors thing.
No.
Our company backs that up. We have education, training, like just so much that really helps the agent that wants to step into that identity also be able to develop that way.
And I feel like an agent in LUXE Properties, if you don't have a growth mindset, I feel like it's a hard company or to be a part of, because we're so growth oriented and we want to pull the best out of these people, whether it's through giving them the information, whether it's pushing them to get out of their comfort zone, whether it's developing new skills in them. And so that growth mindset, Luxe knows, like translates to that every single day, right? Because if you have a fixed mindset,
it's not gonna work.
And not in a bad way. No. I mean, listen, people go through different phases in their life, but I feel like that agent, that our culture, like breeds that person. It breeds it. Even if you're fixed, they're gonna find a way to take you to growth.
100%. And I think that that's actually the beauty of it, because somebody might come in with a growth mindset, or maybe somebody's accustomed to being fixed, but then now they're surrounded with all of these individuals that it's like, wait a minute, maybe there's a different way for me to think about this here, or reframe things. And that also reminds me even of like of our morning calls that were developed. You started that in 2020. Middle of the pandemic, and this is kind of another evolution moment where everybody in the planet had to shift. And that was actually, I think, another milestone for the company in terms of like saying, how can we still stay plugged in? How can we adapt here? Because that was another thing I learned very early on, is adapt or die, right? I know that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. You say something about tides. I can't remember what it is
I
right
have
now.
so many Wesleyisms. So, but I think, you know, it's part of just, you have to adapt in this world. You have to adapt in real estate, and the world moves so quickly right now that growth mindset allows you to adapt. So it's like really pulling that in. And I think we have adapted over the years. You know, we had that era, a new breed era, where like we came in strong and hot
and heavy.
Then we were like, okay, but we always wanted to, you know, while we were fun and excitable, you know, we always still took it very serious, right?
Oh yeah, that was never not a thing.
Yeah, and then I feel like we really developed into, while we want to have fun, we still want to, you know, really perform, execute. 100%. And I think now we've kind of evolved again. You know, we evolved into like branding ourselves and really adding credibility. I think that was like our second era, that credibility era, and making sure like, hey, we can sell these big properties. We can perform just as well as anyone else. And now we've kind of evolved into our third era, which I feel like it's like really that culture. And we've always had the culture, but really a very team-oriented culture. Fun group of individuals from different walks of life. We have 20-year-olds to people that have been practicing for 40 years, and seeing that everybody come together, people that speak different languages from different backgrounds, and seeing everybody come together.
It's awesome.
That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, it's really cool to see.
That's definitely one of my favorite things, that I get up in the morning every day and I'm like, okay, there's such a different group of people, but they almost all blend together, because what holds them together isn't who they are, it's the fabric of they want to grow, they want to learn, they want to get better, and they want to do the right thing. So it's really exciting to see where we go from here, which I think it would be great to talk about the podcast, the vision, what's next. But before we do, what's next for you?
Well, that's an exciting question, because there's usually a couple of answers there. I've always been somebody that that actually does a couple of things, and they all meet somewhere in the middle. In terms of Luxe, for me, it's just obviously continuing to grow with the company, you know, help in whatever way is possible, especially when it comes to marketing and branding.
Mindset,
you know, I love to pour into people generally, and it's something that it helps me, and that's why it's one of the things that comes very naturally to me, because it's what do I do to make myself feel better every day, or if I'm going through something tough or hard, and that usually leads back to mindset. So that's one of the biggest things for me, obviously, and just continuing to develop that. I also love to work, you know, anything that has to do with women empowerment for me is super important. And, you know, again, I love to be led even by strong women, hint, hint, you know? So, and a lot of other people that have been mentors for me. And just, I am working on a fun project. I had a women empowerment event in 2021, and I'm bringing it back around in a really fun way.
I remember.
You were on the panel. It's called the Lab XO, and it is a woman-based platform that pours into mindset development, entrepreneurship, fashion style, branding, marketing, you know, anything that really embodies the modern day woman.
I smell another podcast coming.
Hey, listen, we have a nice umbrella here, don't we, you know? So yeah, that's the I would say my second pillar of things that are in the works, and then the third one is that I help run operations for Only in Dade, which is a Miami-based platform. Maybe you know it. Not sure if you know. Maybe you guys know it. If you don't know it, follow it at Only in Dade. And we have also a really fun platform that's developing there that I'm leading, and it's really fun. And it's going to be basically a directory for Miami-Dade County, and just doing what we love to do, which is connect people. And I think that that's something that across the board for the things that I'm involved with is a thing at the core, is connecting with people, helping people. So those are the three things that are in my pipeline.
Community.
Right, community building, community connecting, and just, you know, how can we help each other grow?
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I think
that was a mouthful.
No. And I think that like really ties into what we want to do here, right? So obviously we're a little bit more real estate based, and you know, we are at our core a real estate company every single day. How do we help individuals buy, sell, rent their properties and really hit their personal goals? So we're always going to be that. But from day one, while we've always been about real estate, we've always channeled into different medias, different, I would say, I would even say businesses, not in the sense of like different parts of real estate. We do that too, but really embracing just growth and community within Luxe. And I think we are a community in
Absolutely.
itself. And so while Luxe is a real estate company, it is also its own community of
Yes.
people that could come together, those different walks of life, and really become their best versions of themselves in real estate.
Absolutely.
And I think this podcast hopefully will showcase everybody. I mean, I think the long-term goal and the long-term vision is to ideally have a network of podcasts and have each, of our powerhouses develop their own voice. And really, I think if we all really, showcase us to the world, or just each individual, we're going to go so much further. We're going to help more people. We're going to allow more individuals to get that growth, that financial freedom, or whatever it is that they're looking for in relation to real estate or personal growth and development. So really excited to, have you guys with us. Thank you for watching. We're going to be having a lot more podcasts, a lot more amazing people like Shanut coming on here, and, looking forward to where we take this. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.